sun got in my eyes good. There we go. Everyone okay? Okay. Everything looks okay. Hey there again, YouTube. Thought I'd go over. I just did the video for my top 5 websites for manufacturers. So, you know, since that whole thing came about when I was doing research to buy this bike, I thought I'd talk about why, or you know, the story behind getting this bike. You know, as I mentioned before, I had a little 400 Maxim from like 1981 or 82. Originally my uncle's bike. You know, there's actually a video of me riding it on his channel, so I'll put that down below. And you know, it was a good bike. It was a great starter bike, little 400, perfect. Actually, it sounded great. It looks good. You know, classic bikes are kind of, you know, in style right now, you know, especially the whole hipster thing. You know, for an 81 too, I think it was a monoshock, so it had kind of a hardtail, soft tail look to it, which was great. You know, you didn't see the shock. And I think for the time was quite advanced. You know, it was just a great little bike. But, you know, it was definitely old. It was definitely worn out. You know, and like I've said before, I'm a big fat dude, right? So, you know, on highways and stuff, it wasn't very good. And, you know, I was planning that summer to go see my folks in the Cusp, which is a decent ride. You know, it's like 7 or 8 hours. And, hey, look at that. That's a fake tree, by the way. I don't know what it is. Some sort of antenna that they made look like a tree. I can love it out here, though, especially when it's sunny. Anyways, you know, actually, I was on this route with my uncle, and he's got you know, a ZX or ZZX 1400R, you know, like the big Ninja. I think it's right now it spanks even the Hayabusa on quarter miles and stuff. So, you know, a little mismatched. But, you know, I was out with him going out to Harrison, which I'm doing right now, and kind of redoing the trip. And, you know, the poor little bike was okay here, like in these sections, but on the way back we took the highway, which I might do. And it just couldn't keep up with traffic. You know, I was scared for my life. And I kind of came up right there and then I was not going to do this for 8 hours. Not a fucking chance. God, gorgeous. So I decided, you know, I'm going to look around for bikes. And, you know, there's sports bikes I was looking at. You know, I think the R1, the new R1 just came out. So I was kind of, you know, salivating over that. But I wasn't ready for anything like that, especially not a leader bike. So, you know, some of the sports bikes I thought maybe a Gixxer 750, even a Ducati 899 or 889. I always get the number mixed up. You know, kind of the mid-range bikes that you could get away with, I think, at my skill level. What else? The Ninja was really a 600, and I kept on hearing from guys that, you know, you could go with a little bigger. And then the next one I think is their leader bike, so I wasn't really looking that way. But I was looking at the cruisers, and I had a lot of friends tell me I should do cruisers. I hang out with guys that ride a lot of cruisers, especially in Gastown. There's a lot of dudes with like the old ratty cruisers, which I love. I'm always a little jealous when I see them, even though they always say it's best to have a new bike that you don't have to worry about maintenance. And this thing is dynamite. I've never had a problem with it, but I've only had it 4 months. But I have had it for almost 12,000 kilometers. So, you know, I started looking at cruisers, and some of them were perfect because I needed something for going out of the country, doing long trips, something I still have fun on. So I wanted, you know, a maneuverable cruiser. something that can do the twisties. I mean, I wasn't looking to set fast times, but I was looking for something that, you know, I wasn't going to be scared to death going around a corner on. And, you know, had to be good for the long haul, had to be stylish, you know, because style, you know, to me a bike is more about style, because, I mean, if you're looking for practicality, you get a fucking Corolla, right? You know, so, you know, it had to be stylish, had to look good, and it had to feel right, had to fit well. You know, I'm a big guy, so that started leaning towards the cruisers, and at the same time, it had to be good in the city, because I was going to use this as a commuter. And, you know, I started looking around, and you know, various videos and websites and that do these type of things. And you know, one of the ones that got me, you know, I mean, Harleys are the kings of style when it comes to especially these kind of bikes, cruisers, right? You know, everyone really, that's the bar, they set the bar, right? And I saw some good videos of the Gunner, and mostly just the Gunner, because that just came out around the time I was looking, against the Softail Slim, and a couple other bikes that I was looking at for Harley. And every time a Victory seemed to go up against the equivalent Harley, or even more expensive Harleys, the Gunner just was the better handling bike, the cheaper bike, the more comfortable bike, even on these videos, right? So I started looking at Victories, even though they weren't. I was a little bit cautious of a 17,000cc engine, or 1731cc engine, which you know, the 31cc, I don't know if that makes it worse. So, you know, I knew this isn't going to be a joke at all. This is a big boy bike, so I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not. So I looked at other bikes. So Indian just came out with the Scout, and that's a fucking gorgeous bike. I really wanted a Scout. Also, you know, a little bit of that, you know, and you know, it's not a Harley, you know, not a lot of people have them. Even here, I think the closest dealership was in Calgary at the time, even though the Victory dealership is now selling Indians too here. So I really wanted the Scout, I think, and everything I looked at was that you could get away with it even as a beginner bike if you're a bigger guy. So I was like, okay, that might work for me. So I heard that Polaris, since they owned it, and they own Victory, and they own Indian, I thought, well, I'll take a look at the Polaris dealer here that has Victories and see if they have any Indians. Maybe they'll have a Scout. Maybe I'll get lucky. And again, I did look at the Victories, so they were kind of the bottom of my list. I probably would have ranked it as the Scout first, then the Softail Slim or the Street Bob were kind of equal. Probably Street Bob first, because they were, from what I read and what I saw in videos, was that it was more maneuverable. So, you know, the Dyna Street Bob was definitely up ahead. It was probably actually second on my list next to the Indian Scout. And then probably the last on my list, because for some reason, if I'm going to get a cruiser, I thought I need to get an American cruiser. There's something with the Japanese cruisers that just don't appeal to me. The only one that did was the Bolt, and it wasn't big enough. So I kind of crossed the Bolt out because I saw that bike and I knew it was too small for me. So I was looking for a Scout. So I went and saw the, you know, See the Sky Motorsports guys here, and they had this for the tester. And I told them, you know, the Gunner was my next choice, because I would have, yeah, like I said, I would have done Indian Scout, Harley-Davidson Softail, the Gunner, and then the Highball was probably the bottom of my list, even though it's a 4-bike list. Because, you know, I looked at the Highball and just, oh, that thing's crazy. It's just a little, it's too much maybe for me. But, you know, I read about it more. It's basically just the Gunner in a slightly different form, slightly different back tire, different shocks, different paint job, or not different shocks, different rims, different paint job, and different bars. So actually, I think you can get the Gunner with these bars now, which is funny. And I was like, I was humming and hawing. It's like, okay, why not? Let's take a look. And I get on this bike, and I'm like, you know, first few seconds I'm kind of anxious because, you know, it's a big engine. I'm going from 400 cc's to 1731 cc's, right? So I'm like, holy shit. And then when you shift gears, you know, like, let's just do it now. You probably didn't hear that. There's this big clunk. And I'm like, oh, what am I fucking doing riding this thing? It's like, oh man, this thing's like a beast. And I get going on, and it's really smooth. It was like butter. I mean, this thing is like butter. It's easy to control, easy to maneuver. It took me a while because, you know, the bars are a little bit weird to get used to. You know, so it took me a while. Slower movers, you gotta lean over to get a little extra turning circle. But other than that, like, by the time I crossed the Golden Ears Bridge, I was used to this bike, and I was loving it. So I was like, oh, I went and showed it off to my uncle, and he kind of laughed, and I was just, you know, mesmerized by it. You know, and the whole time I'm getting, like, thumbs up from people. I still do. I mean, I love that kind of feeling. I kind of like the attention. I thought I was going to go a little bit more lowbrow, or a little bit undercover or incognito, but no, this thing just stands out, and I fucking love it. And the noise. I don't know if that comes through on the thing, but let me lug it for a second. Just. Oh. And it just rumbles right, and oh, I love that noise from these stage 1 pipes. I mean, it's not overly loud, but oh god, yeah. Anyways, so I just couldn't stop thinking about this bike after I test rode it, and I knew I had it bad, so I was like, okay, I gotta test ride some more bikes. So I went around and I tried the Harley first, the Street Bob, and you know, I went to the Trev Dealey in Vancouver, and they're really good. Like, I mean, they're awesome. They let me take it out for an hour. They just, like, basically sign something. Here's the keys. Go take the demo. And they have a bunch of demos. I think they have a demo for every model. And I get on it, and it was just small. You know, this bike here, I'm all stretched out. I'm about 5'11", almost 6 foot. I'm stretched out. I'm nice, like, you know, it's like easy rider. And on the Harley, I was like all crunched in, and I did not like it. Even the ape hangers just didn't seem ape enough. If that makes any sense. Like, these are apey ape hangers, right? And is that even a word? Apey ape hangers? I don't know. You know, just everything just seems so less theatrical than this bike. I mean, this thing is theater. It's just you know, it's overdone. It's just over the top, and I love that about this bike. And the Harley wasn't, for some reason. The Harley was almost too subdued for me in comparison, which is weird, because I was expecting a lot more from a Harley. I mean, to be fair, it had stock pipes, and that's probably the biggest thing. I think the first thing to do with the Harley is switch those out. But, you know, I knew that was going to cost more, and more than what this costed with the stage 1, so, you know, that kind of went against it. Then the one thing that killed the Harley for me was the fact that when you're in traffic, and I took it through the road, I took it through traffic, and when it was in traffic, like, kind of stuff I do when I'm commuting, I realized it wasn't for me. Mostly because it just shook the shit out of me. It shook so badly, it was painful. Like, it actually put my feet to sleep. Like, it was a really weird sensation. Like, it would just didn't stop, and it would shake so much my feet were like getting vibrated to the point where it was like I was losing feeling. So that killed it for me there. And the price was, you know, to get it the way I wanted with the, you know, different pipes and the right paint job would have cost me way more than this thing. So I think it would have been like 20 grand, and like I said, this thing's like 16.9 or whatever it was. 16.9. 8 something. I forget what the precise figure was. And all I did was, you know, all the other stuff added on is maybe 18. So, you know, not that bad in comparison. So that killed it. And the next bike on the list was, I thought I'd try my other favorite, and probably the only thing that would have worked for me. I wanted a Triumph or a Guzzi. I was looking at the Guzzi, you know, the hipster bike, the V7 and the V8, or 7V or whatever they are. I think the V8 is called the Grizzo, and the V7 Stone or the Cafe Racer. And they just were too small, which was disappointing. Like, I just couldn't fit on it like the right way. Like, you know, I kept thinking about this thing when I got on it, and they wouldn't let me test ride it too. That's another thing that kind of killed it for me, was that the Pacific Motorsports, which has all the Guzzis, the Aprilas, the Beam, well, not all the Beamers, it's another Beamer dealership, but Beamers, MV Agusta, Triumph, just wouldn't let me test ride it. So I wasn't sure, like, I'm not gonna make my decision based on just stats and the way it feels when it's stopped, you know, because the engine, the noise, the feeling of acceleration and torque, you know, I'm not sure what those numbers mean until you actually test ride it. So, you know, that kind of killed it for me. I went and looked at the California, which, you know, the other versions of that bike, like I think it's called the, oh, I forgot what they're called now. I just looked it up too, damn it. But the other versions of the California weren't out yet. It was just the California Custom, which I liked, but again, they wouldn't let me test ride it, and I don't think it was as blingy as I wanted. It was all chrome and shit, and I don't like chrome. I like blocked out. So that kind of killed it for me. So the only thing they did let me test ride, and I jumped on the Bonnevilles and the Scrambler. The Scrambler might have worked because it's tall, but again, that engine, I think, just, you know, this thing is just 110 foot-pound of torque or something. Oh, I love that. Maybe not 110, 108 or something, but it's well over 100 foot-pound of torque, and I just, oh, I love that. So, you know, I was like, man. So the only bike I was able to get was a Thunderbird from Triumph, and it was a used one. It had a lot of bells and whistles, like it had range of gas and a proper gas gauge. Like, this thing just has a light to tell me when I'm like, hey, get gas, which is all I really need. But, you know, it's liquid cooled, so more power. I think it's probably one of the more powerful cruisers you can get. I'm not quite sure what the numbers are right off the top of my head. I probably should have looked those up before I did this video. But when I got on it, yeah, the acceleration was great. It didn't feel like it wouldn't, like, this thing vibrates enough where I can feel everything, but not overly so where I'm annoyed with it. Like, it's just enough sensation to be, you know, cause a smile on your face. The Triumph didn't have any sensation. It was like you're just gliding on the road, and then that's not what I was looking for in a bike. You know, in traffic it was fine because, you know, it's liquid cooled, so, you know, it behaved well, it wouldn't overheat. But I already knew from doing research on this bike it wouldn't overheat in traffic, especially not in Vancouver. I mean, one of the videos I was looking at, the guy says the thing doesn't even overheat when you're in Arizona in traffic, so it ain't gonna do it here. Just because the amount of oil they throw in it, like something like 5 or 6 quarts of oil, go through this engine everywhere. So I knew this one wouldn't overheat very well. So yeah, I mean, again, it was just so vanilla. I mean, it was good quality vanilla. It's like, you know, Brider's ice cream is great. Is a great fucking ice cream. But, you know, when you get Brider's vanilla, it's still fucking vanilla. Like, some people like vanilla. That's good on them. I don't. I like, you know, Rocky Road. You know, something like that. And this is my Rocky Road, this fucking Victory. So it hit all the right things. You know, people say they're pretty dynamite, like when it comes to reliability, fit and finish. Yeah, it's not as nice maybe as a Harley. Like, I mean, a Harley, their engines look like. I mean, I think Harley has some of the nicest looking engines. Like, I mean, they're works of art in my opinion. The only thing that comes close is now the new Indian engines. That's about the only ones, and even then there's certain things about them, like little, you can tell the metal's not quite right or something like that. It's like a little bumpy in a weird way on the tops. The Harleys just don't have. They're just, some of the Harley engine just looks right. But that being said, you know, if you ever look at these Freedom 106s or even the old Freedom 100, there's something futuristic about them. Like, I mean, they're really nice looking engines too, but they're in the exact opposite way. Like, a Harley looks like like one of those watches you buy where you can see all the parts moving. This looks like the iWatch or something. Like, you know, it looks, you know, it's fancy, but it's very streamlined. You know, everything is just very clean. It's a really cool looking engine in my opinion. I'll have to show you that later. Okay. Well, I made the Harrison, but it looks like my camera copped out there on the way up, so I'm not quite sure how much I have. I was talking about why I got this bike, so we'll see when I get home, because I don't have much left now on this battery either. I brought an extra battery with me, but I didn't charge them both up all the way. And actually, I'm just gonna take a look over here. I've never been this way. Oh, there is a view. I hope you guys enjoy it. That's sick. Just realized I didn't do my helmet either. God, that's beautiful though. Filming a playground, though, I feel creepy. All right. You know, I shot 2 videos with this day trip, so hopefully I can get home and edit at least one of them and throw it up. I know I said I was gonna do Mondays or Sunday, but fuck it, I'm having too much fun with this stuff. I'm just gonna make videos when I want and when I like. I'm having a lot of fun just yakking to myself while riding with the GoPro, so it gives me an excuse to ride the bike. Look at that. Oh, I love it out here. It's the closest thing to the Coonies I can get, I guess. The Coonies, I think, are even better in some parts. This is kind of close to Hope, which is one of my favorite areas, because the mountains kind of come into this plain that's the lower mainland. Let me finish my thought about the engines of Harley versus Victory. You know, like I was saying, these got really nice engines. The Freedom 106, you know, 106 cubic inches. You know, even compared to Harley's big engine, the 110 CVO engine or whatever they're called. You know, this has got about 100 horsepower, so about, I think it's like 96 horsepower or something like that, actually, at the wheel, depending on which version. I think the CVO has something like 86 or 85 horsepower, and then this has got 109 or 108 foot-pound of torque, almost 110, and the CVO's just got 98 foot-pound of torque. So, yeah. Even though it's less cubic inches, it's just a way better performing engine, I think. You know, and as far as cruisers are concerned, that's not the main point. The main point is smoothness and the power band being low. You can really hammer on these 106s though. They're a lot of fun. You know, some of the older Victorys got 100, the Freedom 100, which is 100 cubic inches, and they're, of course, obviously not as big, but they're nice. I think all the Highballs came with the 106. Some of the Vegases and Hammers and Judges all came with 100s, I think. But yeah, either engine, they both look the same. I think are pretty much the same engine anyways, except for size. And they just look streamlined. They're very simple. They're basically just a V with lines. I mean, you know, look it up. Other than a bolt is like a bolt for changing the cam chain or tightening the cam chain or adjusting it. Other than that, it's a very clean looking engine. Almost the polar opposite of a Harley, which you can see, you know, the what do you call it, the rods and all that. You know, the difference is like a watch that you can see all the parts moving, like a nice Swiss watch, versus a very clean watch where you just see the hands, and it's very minimalistic. So it's really a style choice, look-wise. Performance-wise, I mean, the Victor engines are better. I mean, I'm sorry. Very few, you know. I've seen, there's lots of videos out there in drag races where the Victor usually spanks it. The only Harley that can really keep up with a Victory is going to be the V-Rod, and I know the Victory guys always like to point out that that's technically a Porsche engine because you know, that being Harley's only liquid-cooled engine, it's actually designed and built by Porsche. That's why everything's in metric for them. Of course, the argument is these are American engines because they're metric, but they are American engines. They just chose to go with metric because everyone else uses metric. Anyways, that's probably all the film I got or battery power I got left. So yeah, if you like this, hit like and subscribe, and let's see if I can get some more footage out of it and head home. I know I didn't get some of this part. This is fucking beautiful, this area. I'm just leaving Harrison, but it's even nicer coming in into the mountains and the valley and the sun. Oh, what a nice day. Take the long way home.